told you. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, wake up, I gotta.
Oh, yes, indeed. College Couch Podcast, episode, what is it, 13? 13 we at now?
I'm losing count at
I'm
this
losing
point. I
count.
ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm already knowing, man. Hey, listen here. College Couch Podcast back in session. As always, Javaris here is here with my brother and cousin in crime, ladies and gentlemen. Stackz and Javaris forever in the building as always. You know what? Not even we. I apologize because I was the one that was the cause for not having an episode last week. I was out of town in Albany, New York, right? So I was up hanging out with some of my former roommates who I lived with for a time. Shout out to Kiera and Jaden and little baby Atlee, their dog. I'm a dog uncle, so I was up there hanging out with them for a few days, and kind of got away from the scene of the podcast, which was not a good thing from what it sounds like. I got a lot of uh concerning messages and calls like, where's the episode at? And I apologize. I'm sorry. I really thought me just taking a short break would be
Hey,
okay,
just
but
had to take a little
obviously
breather.
not.
Had to take a little breather. Hey, college team is getting rested up a little bit, so we can do that. We can take a little second.
Exactly, but apparently that was not a good idea, Stax. I felt like my life was under a threat, and I didn't like that. So, but no, we're back. We're back. No need to worry. We are back in full effect, brother. I just want to check in on you. How are you right now? How are we feeling?
Oh, I'm great. I'm grooving. I'm ready to
Awesome.
talk about some college sports, man. Ready to talk about some football, basketball, and some everything, man.
Oh well. Listen, it's gonna be an episode where you're gonna have it all, brother, because we got some transfer portal insider to get into. We got some college basketball, and also we have a question from one of my good friends, Josh Shaganik, who is one of my coworkers. Um, Listen, it's gonna be a great episode. I promise you. Also, something to look forward to under in your little Christmas stocking, because this is gonna be the episode before Christmas. So we hope that it's definitely gonna be a good one. I can't even say hope. It will be a good one. So before we get into any other thing, let's go ahead and get this question from Josh out the way real quick. Josh asked me a few weeks ago, when I put out, for people to send us questions, this was one that really was like something that made you think. So Josh asked, would you have been up for an emergency 16 playoff picture? If so, who are your top six teams?
Okay. Me personally, I'm going with Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
going with Washington, going with Texas, and I'm going with FSU, Alabama, and Georgia.
Was that
Why
six? Hold
Georgia?
on. Michigan, Texas. You said Michigan
Michigan, Washington,
or Washington?
Texas.
Texas.
Then you got Bama.
Alabama. Okay.
Then you got Georgia,
Okay.
FSU.
Okay.
Hey,
Believe it.
my math be mathing, my brother.
Oh, no. I listen. I would hope. I would hope, right? But you want to know what's crazy? I agree with that, but I would have took FSU out. So you pretty much have kept the same playoff picture that we have currently, if I'm correct. I think.
I would do the same one because that you got a chance for Georgia to shock the
Hmm.
world.
Yeah.
FSU has a chance to prove that they're still a playoff team, even with their third string,
Hmm.
or possibly their second string coming back. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the teams definitely still get to fight it out and and,
Hmm.
and, and make some shape. So
Yeah.
you potentially get, possibly, depending on how it goes, you may get a Georgia Bama rematch, or
Hmm.
you may get a Bama Texas rematch. We don't know, what I'm saying, depending on how it falls and how they would do it. But Michigan would if you do it the right way, I think Michigan starts out playing Georgia, because Georgia would be number
Hmm.
6. I think they would get that last spot. I think Washington would play FSU. You know, that to me would be a good matchup. Then you
Yeah.
got at number 3 you got Texas. I mean Texas. Texas would be playing Texas would be playing Bama.
Hmm. Okay.
So you got yeah, Texas will be playing Bama. And so you get that rematch of that Texas
Mhm.
Bama game.
Yeah.
You know, then FSU gets to fight it out with Washington, and then they get to prove that and then the
Okay.
next seed and would be depending on whoever wins. So that you possibly get a Georgia rematch against Bama, or you end up seeing the playoffs as it is now. You know, you
Okay.
know.
Well, to answer Josh's question, um, I it depends on what that emergency would have been in order for us to get an emergency 16 playoffs, right?
What if
So
we just said for conversation's sake,
okay,
because it wouldn't.
for conversation purpose, then I would have taken Florida State out because I still don't trust Florida State with a third string quarterback. I would,
So who would
who
you
I,
put in over that? Who would you put in over them?
Oregon.
You
I
would
would have
put
put in
Oregon
Oregon.
in. You would put an Oregon in with 2 losses to the same team.
Yes, I would have definitely put in Oregon because, again, I'm going off the criteria of the current state of the team, right? So Bo Nix has been playing out his mind this year. You have Bucky Urban in the backfield, who has been doing great. Pretty much one of the best running backs in the conference. You have the wideout tandem of gosh, I can't think of the two guys' name, but they're studs. I think they would have put up a better fight against, and I think they would have put up a better fight in the playoff picture than what Florida State probably would have done. And now
So
people,
you were right because if I'm correct, FSU would have been playing Washington. So you would
right,
see Oregon play Washington for a third time this season.
exactly. It will
So
be a trilogy. We would have a trilogy on our. We would have a
you
trilogy
know
on our
you
hands.
know only reason I to me you can only beat somebody so many times in one season to prove that you're better than them.
I agree.
I personally don't see the point in unless you have it like to where it's like how NFL is
Hmm.
where you got where Tom Brady won the Super Bowl, lost to the Saints twice in the regular season and then beat them the third time.
Yeah.
You know, but the way college football is, I mean, me personally, I wouldn't want to see you get beat the same way
Hmm.
against the same team. I wouldn't. Of course, Oregon wants another crack at it, but I mean, you swing and miss at your second crack. To me, it's like, all right, But I mean, could make for good conversation. You
Yeah,
know,
and I mean, but again, I think that would have been a great playoff picture because of course, they're a two-loss team, but again, we're going to see a lot of two-loss teams with the new format that's coming out.
right? But
Hmm.
I was going off of this, like how
Well,
this
yeah,
one this year.
I'm just
Now
throwing that
if
out.
we're saying next year,
Yeah.
then this changes everything completely because then you won't
Right.
have an emergency 6 game playoff.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
but for this sake of this year, I personally think that FSU may stand a better chance than or what it would be better watch TV because now with if since it's emergency,
Hmm.
meaning that you have the same scenario happen that already happened with FSU getting booted out.
Hmm.
Now they're in. Now they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Now
Yeah.
that gives that third string another gear he can hit that he has to prove himself. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So now it's like you're playing for something bigger than just a championship. When before you were like you were just trying to save face. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Well, hear me out on this. What if you didn't have to do the whole format of because where I'm putting it is Georgia or Oregon at 5 and 6 at the bottom. Not even having to play, three.
But you would still have to if you had number 5 and number
Mhm.
6, they because number 1 always plays the worst team in the
Right.
playoffs. So and then number 2 plays the second worst team in the playoffs.
Well, not necessarily in this in the format that we're looking at right now. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
it
saying?
would be
Because
because every playoff format, that's why you want to get the number 1 seed because you play the sorriest team out of everybody. So
but not. So what I'm hearing is FSU would have to play like Michigan, but that's not what we're looking at this year,
But
right?
Michigan is number one,
Right,
so they would play number six, which would be Georgia,
Georgia,
right? And,
but
and
not
from
this
from
year though.
huh,
Not
this
this year.
huh?
Oh, Michigan doesn't. Michigan won't play Georgia this year.
If we did a 16 playoff,
Oh, okay, okay. We're here now. We're here. I'm
yeah, I
like,
thought that's what
bro,
we was talking
what
about the
is
whole
what
time.
is happening? I'm
You
like,
asking
what
me
is
if I'm
happening
all
right
right?
now?
You
Okay,
asking
yes,
me if I'm
you're
all right?
right.
Is you all right,
Correct.
my brother?
No, I'm not. This is what a week off will do to you. But yes,
Because I'm like, I thought we was arguing
yes.
the six game
But
playoff.
that's why, yeah. But the way I was thinking was it would be a 16, but it would still be the top four, right? So you will still have your top four, and then the low two seeds, which is the 5 and 6 seed, will play each other like how we're
So
looking
you
at this year,
you wanted it to be like a play in. That wouldn't,
basically.
but that wouldn't be a playoff then.
So
That-
not even a
So
play in, not a play in, but just literally how the format is right now with the six
so
teams.
then so then it wouldn't be a playoff. So then it wouldn't be a 16 playoff system because the whole purpose is for a championship.
Exactly.
So if you're going to go and say that you're doing a play in, that
Mhm.
means 3 and 4 have to play each other, 5 and 6 have to play each other, 1 and 2 just figure out who they playing
So
then.
that's what I'm saying. So if 5 and 6 were to play each other, then you would have another instance of Dan Lanning versus Kirby Smart,
Now, if
and
we're
they would
going
go
off
at
of that, if we're going off of that format, I would rather see Oregon play Georgia
okay
in
now
that
okay
format.
there now
In that
and
format,
and I would have to what I would blame Josh on this one because I'm gonna have to go back and ask him if he actually meant a 16 or if he meant like the top four and then with the two seeds playing each
well,
other
from
the
what I
last
gather, he said a 16 playoff. So when you
right.
say
So
16 playoff, so
I I think you're right
this
I'm pretty
this this
confident.
going off base now
Yeah,
that's a good idea that you just
right,
came up with just then. That would be cool.
right.
But um so that because that means the only two spots are safe.
Mm-hmm.
Number one and number two. So Washington will be excluded and
Mm-hmm.
Michigan will be excluded.
Yeah.
That would be cool because then you still get that rematch of Bama, Texas. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's some more exciting football because you got more on the line,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But what I was thinking was if you're gonna just do straight six, if you're doing straight six, I would put FSU in there.
Okay.
But if seeing who I would rather see play Georgia off of your system,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see Oregon play Georgia.
Okay.
For one, Bo Nix got history against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he hasn't beaten Georgia. He struggles against Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But now he has a complete team to play against him with,
Yeah.
and a coach that is solid. No shot at Brian Harsin, or Gus Malzahn. But I'm more so speaking on Brian Harsin. But anyway, you know,
Bro, I don't think you have anything towards. Well, you may have a vendetta against Brian Harson, but I mean,
I have no vendetta against nobody, my brother.
okay, okay,
But
all
I just
right.
call a spade a spade.
I like it.
I just call
I
a
like
spade
it.
a spade. I
You
I
gotta
love this
respect it.
game. I love Auburn. I love
Mm-hmm.
football. I love all of that. I love all the stuff going on with
Mm-hmm.
football and the coaching carousel and all this type of stuff. It
Oh,
caused a great conversation, but I'm gonna call a
bro.
spade a spade. If I feel like you didn't do well as a coach at that particular moment, I'm gonna say you you messed it up. You were
Yeah,
struggling.
yeah.
Like I mean not to go off topic and talk about Auburn, but you left us with a giant, for lack of a better word, you left us with a giant turd and said, "Here, figure out a way to make the bathroom smell good." That's literally what you left us with.
Oh,
And then
I
gonna talk
love it.
junk
I
while you at
love it.
home watching the games about the team that you just left us with.
Basically, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and you can stab it. We can talk about it.
I
you,
listen. I completely understand, and I mean, just watching the rebuild at I'm sorry, not Oregon, but Auburn happen right now, dude. People are gonna think I'm an Oregon fan, and I don't want to give that notion. I enjoy
no, I
Oregon, but
mean, I ain't gonna lie. It was one point in life where a lot of people was Oregon fans.
bro. Let me tell you something.
Let's
LaMichael
not get it
James,
twisted. Mike,
LaMichael James
Michael
holds a
James
special
Jr.
place
Come
to me.
on, man. It was a point in time when Jokers everybody was because the uniforms and they was balling. I didn't like him because we played him in the national
Yeah,
championship. You know, with
but
Cam
no.
Newton, about to
Listen,
die. You know all that. But anyway,
listen. LaMichael James holds a special place in my heart, bro.
yeah, yeah, man.
That man was a menace in that
But I
backfield.
mean, in a 14, 16 playoff. I mean, I don't like the fact that you have only four teams that can make
Yeah,
it. I'm glad
yeah.
they're expanding it because to me, there's so much controversy. Like
Mhm,
to me, I've always said this. Okay, you've had a perfect season. That's beautiful. You know, and you should be able to be number one. If you have an
mhm.
undefeated team, you beat the right amount of tough opponents, you should be number one, right?
Agreed.
You've
Yeah.
earned that right. But just because you have a bad game or a call didn't go your way or it went down to the wire and you
Hmm.
lose, I don't think you should be excluded from a championship.
You're right.
You know, just like last year, I, and this is coming from an Auburn fan, I can't stand Bama, but I don't think that they were bad enough to be getting the hate that they got. Because you lose two games, those two games, if you just look at the stats, if you look at the record, you say, oh, they were terrible this year, or they were not that great this year, or no, they were not bad. They just, you just so used to Bama being dominant that you don't
Hmm.
expect nothing less. They only
Yeah.
lost by, they lost by what, three and two? So they lost from both of their losses combined was by a span of 5 points.
Hmm.
And last year, they lost to a hot Tennessee team at home. And then they lost to a hot LSU team at home in double overtime off a 2 point conversion. You know what I'm saying? So where in that criteria does it say, "Oh, this team is trash"?
No, and
You
agreed.
know. But I
Yeah.
saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, they trash." Bama.
Mm.
If this format wouldn't have been in, you know what I'm saying? If college football was normal, because I don't think college football is normal because
No.
it's a lot that you have to go through to be number one or even
Right.
compete for a championship.
Hmm.
No other scale, no other sport do you have to do all the things you have to do for college football. Like
Right.
even basketball, you can have 9 losses, 10 losses, and still compete for a championship.
Yep.
You know,
Mm.
um, and in the pros, you still can have 8 losses and compete for a championship. So you telling me because that New York Giants team, that had 8 losses, they were trash, but
Yeah.
yet they beat the number one Patriots. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So you can't go off the records of wins and losses. Just how did they lose those games? Now, if Bama would have got blown out that year, both times, okay, all right, bro, all right. Y'all might be losing a step. You know, or even Georgia. Like Georgia wasn't trash this year. They just, you know, to me, they were a little bit too prideful, meaning they felt like they were the big dog and nobody was gonna be able to compete with them, and then these teams hit them in the mouth. They were just able to. The gap was just so far. They was just able to withstand those punches in the mouth until they ran into Bama.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Where the talent gap is not as far. So for me, 2 losses doesn't mean that you're a trash team. Because if we're going off of this schedule, then that means Liberty is horrible.
Right.
But Liberty is not horrible. They are undefeated. That is no small feat.
And you know
You know?
what's what's crazy? It was something that me and you had saw, and I don't want to get into too many details, but it was a lot of that. Like, oh well, if this team is 2 losses, why aren't they in the conversation or this, that, and the third? I look at it more so if again, it's a lot of implications that are being looked at as to who
Right,
is getting into
right,
these top six
right.
spots.
And
Non
it makes good.
Yeah, it's top 25. What how you did against top 25 teams. Your conference win, your non conference wins, your strength of schedule, your current status. How the current look of your team, which is something that I really like. I feel like that is a key implement. In other things as well.
Right,
When all of these things are pretty much stirred up in a big bowl, you're going to get the ideal teams that are going to look good on national television, because we have to think
right,
about it. It's more than just, oh well, this team didn't make it because they didn't like them. No, again, this committee is trying to avoid another possible disaster happening from what we saw in
Right.
last year's national
Right.
championship.
And for the
It
people
was
that saying that they didn't give FSU a chance to prove themselves, that is exactly why they didn't put them in there, because you
exactly
what you
you
don't
want
want, you don't want to leave you don't want to leave nothing to chance. Now,
right.
if it happens again, okay, cool, because you got two solid programs in there, one
Mm.
solid program in there, then you got three solid
Yeah,
programs, like overall programs, meaning the history of them has been good.
yeah,
Texas is coming up on it again. They were once good, but then it fell off, and now they're coming back.
yes,
Bama's been good the last decade or so, you know, and then Michigan, has been solid, here and there or whatever,
mm-hmm.
but their history is winning. And then
Yep,
you have Washington in the mix, who is kind of new to being a part of this conversation.
mm-hmm.
So, um, if you have that happen again this year, you kind of lick your wounds and say, okay,
Yeah,
all right, there's nothing you can do about that. You did your
right,
best to avoid it,
exactly,
but what you don't want, because a friend of ours said that, FSU's second string quarterback should be back by the playoffs. That
right.
is leaving it to chance. Like, you don't know he's gonna be back, and if he comes back, we don't know if he's gonna be 100%. You
We're
know
not waiting for him to come back because the
exactly, and
season
and
has to
and
end
and
in January.
right, and you got to think, this is like, I know all of us as fans look at it as
Mhm.
fans, but
Yeah,
this is money, meaning viewership.
hmm
Like, we're watching this. Like, think about it. Everybody and their mama complained about TCU and Georgia in the championship last year, but
yep,
now when they try to prevent that again, everybody has a problem with it because they left one out, right?
yeah,
You
yep,
know, and I said before that I was, I didn't think that, you losing your starter should allow you to drop, but that was with the second string.
hmm
But if you go down to the third string, I'm like, okay, they don't look the same.
right,
It just doesn't look the same.
yep.
Now, if they had came out and handled business the way that they were supposed to in the conference championship,
We would have
right,
another conversation right
right,
now. Yeah,
on both ends. I mean, I'm not
yeah,
I'm not trying to throw no shot, but had Georgia won, we wouldn't have had this conversation. Had
exactly.
FSU handled their business like they were supposed to, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You know,
Agreed. Agreed.
so
Yeah.
let's not pick and I told people, let's not pick and choose what we
hmm
want to throw ourselves into. Let's be realistic.
For
Like,
sure.
everything goes into it. Like, we've all been there and sitting there waiting for teams to lose so that we could
Mhm.
be in or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you win and handle business like you're supposed to, you avoid all that.
Yeah.
Prime example, Michigan. They they held on undefeated. They beat Ohio State. They won their conference championship by a wide margin with 3 touchdowns. I think 3 touchdowns or so.
hmm
Maybe four, but I think it was three. And they handled business. Washington. They didn't win by a large margin, but they also played, a high ranked team in Oregon
hmm
for the second time. And they beat them twice. So that shows me you guys can compete. You
Right.
know? And then you got Texas, blew out their team, which was a ranked team, they're not no slouches.
hmm
That's it, you know what I'm saying? Just because you're number 14, number 15, doesn't mean you're a slouch. You know, everybody just expects you to lose when you playing a top 5 team, or a top 10 team.
hmm
But that don't mean you're a slouch.
No. No.
But Texas made them look like they were slouches because they were so much better. And
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, um, so, the end of the day, it's about the winning and how you win.
Yeah.
Even Nick Saban said that. During the regular season, we might not be blowing people out by 40 all the time, but as long as we're winning, you know what I'm saying. So, like, for instance, Bama barely beat Georgia, but they won. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know, and then you can say you can say that for FSU, but they
Mhm.
struggled with a team that they should have easily blown out.
For sure. And I want to hit on something too. Now that we're on the Florida State. Now we're on Florida State. I don't want to take anything away from Florida State because right now, what they're doing, and I love throwing this in the conversation. Teams are rebuilding right now. They're refueling for next year, and with talent like AJ Bolden coming in from Buford High School, this guy is on Twitter. I promise you, every time I get on social media, I'm seeing this guy going after a recruit trying to flip them. Like you have a guy at Auburn as well. I can't think of the name of the guy's name, but you're always talking about. I think it's y'all's quarterback that's coming in
Yep,
next year.
Walker White.
Yeah, these guys are going after these top recruits right now, doing everything in their power to make these guys flip and come to these schools. So when you have talent like that coming in and trying to bring other like-minded talent as well, you can't do anything but applaud it as well as be okay. These guys are actually building something that's going to possibly break the grounds of college football
You
next year.
know, I think this. I think this was supposed to happen to FSU this year in this fashion because it's gonna make them angry for
Mm-hmm.
next year. And it's nothing like a team that has something to prove that's already good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with a chip on their shoulder, trying to make something shake. And they know they're gonna make the playoffs. You know, it's 12 teams this
Yeah.
year, next year. So, um, and I think and Hugh Freeze, our coach, said something very key this year. He said, I don't think it's gonna be a lot of undefeated teams from here on out. And you might ask, why do I say that, or why does he say that, and why do I agree with it? The talent gap is closing. You know, everybody's getting good talent now. Why? Because NIL and transfer portal is wide open. There's
Yeah.
literally almost no no rules in it. Honestly, like you can transfer as much times as you want, pretty much, if you really look at it. And then um if you an NIL deal, it's no limit on your NIL deal. A
Mm-hmm.
player can come in and you can offer him $1 million if he asks for $1 million, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the talent gap is closing. Like Colorado is refueling. They just got 5 offensive linemen that are big time players,
Yeah.
and what I like about there, since we're here now, we talk about the recruiting trail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Colorado's linemen are making statements saying, "Oh, Shador was the most sacked, the most rushed, the most hit quarterback last year." That stops now.
Yeah.
When you have your line usually doesn't say anything public for the most part. But when your line comes out and says that stops now, come on,
Yeah.
come on.
Well, I mean, at some point it has to. Sex. Shador was the most sacked quarterback by week 5, and it was in the 20s. Are you not trying to protect your quarterback? Like
Right,
these are questions that are probably in these meeting rooms. Like, what are we doing? Like,
right.
we have one of the probably most expensive quarterbacks in the league. No, I'm sorry, not in the league, but in the college football picture right now. And this man is literally getting pummeled every game.
I'm not
So it
gonna lie
had,
to
yeah,
you. It's gonna be scary. Like
yeah.
I, a lot of people wrote Colorado off after they went on their losses and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
I'm telling you now, like I said it before, I said this is Deion's first year, Power Five.
Yeah.
Team lost 1 game last year. They won 4 this year. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, most of the games that they lost, not all of them, but most of the games that they lost by close margins,
Yeah.
right? So where in that shows you that that was a failure? Where in that does that show you that they were trash? No, they just came up short more times than not. So that tells me, had they had a few of the pieces that they were missing, they'd have been more in those games. And they probably would have won. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying by no stretch would they have gone undefeated or anything like that,
Hmm.
but they definitely probably would have been playing in a bowl, or
Yeah.
they would have been, if the 12-team playoff picture, they probably would have been in that hunt. Because think about it, Shador is accurate. Shador can run.
Hmm.
Shador has a deep ball. Shador has pocket presence, and he has quarterback smarts,
Yeah.
meaning he's savvy. He makes right decisions. So what else am I missing?
Yeah.
Nothing. That's literally the ingredients you want in a quarterback. So,
Agreed.
and
Yeah.
then he has, and then you go outside of that, which is the personal stuff a quarterback needs. You got the receivers,
Hmm.
and he has elite receivers. He's got one of the most efficient and gifted receivers on his team in
Agreed. Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
So, but they're recruiting their butts off. Deion is like you said, Deion's gonna have the recruits because it's Deion Sanders. Who wouldn't
Exactly.
want to play for Dion? Shoot,
Exactly.
I thought about lacing my cleats back up and going to play. You know, but you know what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
but the talent gap is closing rather quickly.
Hmm.
You know, Georgia lost a lot of recruits. Georgia lost a lot of people on the transfer portal.
Hmm.
You know, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you got people coming in. You don't know how they're going to mesh well.
Yeah.
You know, but to lose that many is hard. Trust me, I
Absolutely.
know. Because last year Auburn lost a lot of people.
Hmm.
You know, but what I can say is that you you get to see the rebuilding process, the
One hundred
refueling
percent.
process. You know, because a lot of teams don't get to see that. Like Bama didn't get to see that for a long time, but people forget that they had to rebuild.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You know, people
Yeah.
talk trash about all these teams that are struggling. Like, hey man, we rebuilding. Like South
Oh,
Carolina is rebuilding. You know, Kentucky rebuilding. You know, only one I say ain't rebuilding is Vanderbilt because they kind of been having the same story, but they you know what I'm saying.
don't listen. Anchor down, brother. You got to anchor down. Like if you ain't anchoring down, then you just missing out. You're missing out. Vandy's gonna be okay. Maybe we'll
Man,
see.
prime
I don't
example, you just said Vandy gonna be okay. You
listen.
didn't say
I
good.
don't.
You didn't. I had. Hey, long as I've been a college football fan, I haven't seen Vandy be dominant. Now,
I,
now,
I
now, to
hear
me,
me out.
in my defense, you know they've had good players, but
I resent that because
now has it translated well on the field? That I'm asking a question
hear
because
me out.
they had one of the top receivers, if not the top receiver. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. You're right. You're
And I mean,
right.
you have because we got somebody from Vandy on our defense.
Yeah.
So, they've had great players, but the system in which they, you know, they don't. It's kind of like it's kind of like a Duke
A Duke.
almost in a sense.
A Duke.
Like
Are you comparing? Are you
yes,
comparing Vandy
yes,
to Duke?
yes. And hear me out. The prime focus for Duke and Vandy were basketball, right?
Okay.
Now they're trying to become more football now, you
Okay.
know. So, but their history is basketball. You know, they they they'll make some noise here and there, but they don't like think about it. Duke has not been in early on. They had their biggest win this year.
Okay.
First time they won a bit against a Power Five opponent, whatever or it was a ranked opponent, whatever it was when they beat Clemson. And I'll let you explain to me what happened after that.
I don't think I
My
want
point
to.
exactly.
But no, hear me out. Hear me out. When Derek Mason, and you know Derek Mason, you know your boy Derek Mason. He
Trash,
was there. You said what?
trash,
Well, your boy Derek,
trash,
when your boy
trash.
Derek Mason was there. They
No,
were on
dumps.
they
We
were
not
on
gonna dumpster water.
partial. They were on a partial incline, right? That incline
You
was
know,
like
it's no partial. It's no.
it was
You get
one
on
of
the
these
incline and you
steepest.
ain't.
Hear me out. Hear me out. It was one of these steepest inclines, right? It's almost like that the big trucks going up the side of the mountain. And I mean,
So let me ask you this:
the smallest gust of wind.
if they were on such an incline, why he leave?
Oh, because they,
Because
things
I
happen.
could name you a couple teams that's
Well,
on
I
the
can
incline
as
right now.
well. Well, you got to think too. They can't. Apparently, they can't seem to get they stadium in order because they got their video board hanging from two giant cranes right now.
And that's cute. But at the end of the day, we talking about football. Last time I checked, every time you had Vandy on your schedule, you like, yeah, we got that.
Oh, I promise you, it's been
When the
some
last
game.
time? Let me ask you this, and then I'll be done with this. When the last time you seen Vandy on the schedule and said, "Ooh, gotta watch out for that one"?
Let me tell you something. I'll do you even better. When I see Vandy on the schedule, I can't tell you the last time I watched the Georgia versus Vandy game. I promise you that is a
Hey,
game that I
case
will
in
skip.
point.
I
Case
will
in
skip
point.
it. I will 100%
Now I
skip
will
that
say
game.
this. I say a lot. I talk a lot of junk. I talk a lot of junk about this. But I'm not saying that to say that Vandy won't ever be good. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah,
But I'm saying right now, there's no getting better.
it's no
There's no like,
discussion.
if I'm a fan, I'm like, I don't like the way the future's looking. I'm just being honest. Like
I
for
mean,
instance,
there. It's
and
not a. It's not a.
I can go
It's
back to the Duke comparison.
Duke.
I
The
say, look,
Vandy is the
I
Duke
can
of
at
the
least say this
SEC.
about Duke. I can say this at least about Duke.
Duke is Duke
I
did
can see them
well.
on their way. I can
Yes.
see that they're going to be okay or good in the future, right? But I can't say that about Vandy. I can't.
Oh, that's
I can
hurt.
say that about South Carolina. You know, I can
That's
say
what I'm
that about
saying.
Kentucky.
You.
I can say that about a lot of teams, but I cannot say that about Vandy. That they're headed in the
But
right
I
direction.
would not. I would not compare Vandy as being the Duke of the SEC because Duke did well this year. If anything, if I was comparing an ACC team,
I'm not saying in this particular. I'm talking about as a whole. As
but
hey, you
that's what I'm saying.
as a
You
college.
can't
Think about it.
compare.
Think about it. But yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Because Duke has
Oh,
not been in the conversation for anything.
yeah.
You know, doing fairly well in college football, like doing fairly well and doing well are two different things,
Right. Okay.
right? So when I say that, Jokers are now, like I said, I give credit to Duke because Duke is now at a point where they're like, okay, but both of them plateau at this certain they'll go like here and then they'll go here,
Okay.
you know. But that's why I can compare. Now I can compare to a point because they're here, but Duke is getting the picture saying, all right, we got stuff to figure out. We don't want to just be a football school, so we're gonna go a little bit further. Vanderbilt is saying, here we're a basketball school that got football.
Crazy enough, they're not doing so hot in basketball.
But that's my point. But my point
Oh.
being, you have to like, it's
Oh
tough
my.
because you have to look at your team. You have to figure out ways to become better. Put the coaches in place, and those coaches, you have to make Vandy look attractive
Well,
to
that's the thing.
recruits.
They just got a new head coach like a few years ago, like
The the right
a
head coach,
solid guy at that. I
right?
can't think of his name at the moment, but
So as of
he's
right now,
solid.
like I said, if what year is he in?
This is like his, if anything, like his second or third, maybe his fourth. It's very like
Okay, well
it's not over five. I know
it's
that.
dead. It's dead. If you're not saying now, I will say they've gotten better recruits. But if you not, because think about, I'm gonna tell you why I compare them.
You know what? You know what would be
Good.
great? A
What's that?
great pitch. You go get um Darius Garland. Go get Darius Garland and have him pitch to some of the guys as to why they should come to Vandy. He played for Vandy.
I mean, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh
But
my God,
but
bro.
what I'm saying is, look, think about it. You
We're
have to
not
be.
listen. We're if we come across some Vandy fans, we might get jumped, bro.
That's fine. That's fine. Hey, I'm here for all the smoke. I got good lungs.
Oh my.
Uh, I'm fine with it. Cause
Okay.
you can talk like for instance, like jokers can talk to me all day about how bad Auburn is and that type of third and thing, whatever. But guess what? We won a championship and went back to one.
Yeah.
You know, so right before the college playoffs started, we went back to one. Played Jameis Winston. It was just their year. You know,
Hmm.
so and we had one of the most exciting plays in college rivalry week with the kick six. You
Hmm.
know, the Georgia tip. Right before that when Georgia tipped the ball to us, I can name down teams that we've beaten in ways we've competed. You know what I'm saying? We made the SEC championship several times. We've
Yep.
won it a few times. So I can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Now we have been in a slump thanks to poor management, for lack of better words. But it happens. Like I'm not saying that you can't have a valley. I can't. I'm not saying that. But what
Hmm.
I'm saying is when you stay at a certain plateau and you don't get out of that valley and you don't start going toward a peak,
Hmm.
that's when I call the question what you're doing.
Right.
You know, but in Vandy and Duke's defense, you have to be very, very smart to go to both of those schools. Not saying that you don't have to be smart to go to Georgia. I'm not saying none of that before people try to take my words out of context. But
So
what I'm saying is,
you don't have to
you
be
have
smart to
to.
go.
That's almost like going to a Georgia Tech or something like that. You have to be
Yeah.
very smart to do that. And that doesn't always translate to superstar athletes. Sometimes it does, but I'm not saying that athletes are not smart. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying to maintain a certain level at those schools,
Mhm.
it's tough. So most players already don't like school in to begin with. They coming to play football, put their talents on display, right? So if that's all they're coming for, how you gonna go? How you gonna survive classes and not be suspended and this, that, and the third? It's
Mhm.
a smart school. Like if you're a regular person go to Duke and Vandy, you gonna be straight,
Yeah.
right? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's like a Georgia Tech. Like it's a smart school. Like Georgia Tech is a smart school. Like you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So when I'm saying, can they, can they go above that? I hope so, because it'd be good for the SEC. But right now, I don't see it. I don't.
I mean, and that's valid. That's fair. But I'm not gonna sit here and just and dog these teams like this
I'm
because
not
that was.
dogging them. I'm
I
just
know,
being. I said
I hear you, and no,
I'm gonna
listen.
always be blatant. I'm not gonna be blatant. I'm always
Oh, you're
gonna
blunt.
speak
Oh,
facts.
you're 100% blunt.
I'm gonna speak
That's
facts.
yes,
Like, but I
that's
can take it too. Like,
that's
you know what I'm
that's.
saying?
But that's just your nature. That's your character. You're very
Like,
blunt. But no,
I I can take it. You know what I'm saying?
you're right. You're very right, and I'm glad you can. But for one, before we jump into the next thing, because I'm not gonna sit here and do these teams like that because they work very hard. Breaking news coming out of Nebraska: Dylan Raiola, former commit to Georgia, has committed, and I mean doubling down his commitment to Nebraska. If you've been following this,
That's
Dylan.
big. That's big
Yeah,
for Nebraska.
is very big for Nebraska. And if I'm not mistaken, his father played for Nebraska. So
That's big
that
for Nebraska. Good for Nebraska, but bad for other people.
right. But you know what's crazy? This is Nebraska's. If I'm correct, this is their first big commit or recruit since 2008.
And that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I was talking about with the Vandy thing and all of that. That's why I was getting at with that. Like, you got to think. Even Nebraska, like even Nebraska, right?
Oh my god.
Nebraska back in the day, '60s, all of that, Nebraska's and all that, they were good. You
Yeah.
know, you know what I'm saying? It's just now they're trying to catch up. Last year they
Yeah.
thought they had hope, but we saw how that with certain players,
Hmm.
whatever. But it's big. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying when I say, for Vandy and Duke, I'm not seeing them get these big time recruits yet. I'm not seeing the progress. Like, I've seen them get some.
Yeah.
I've seen them get a couple, recruits or whatever, and they played well. It just didn't. They didn't stay long at Vandy, or
Mm-hmm.
if they did, they ended up transferring. Like the receiver that Vandy had, which was he's very good. But that's
Well,
what good.
I mean, of course, the biggest thing is Dylan. The reason Dylan committed was because also Carson Beck announced that he was returning for his senior year. Now, being that happening, a lot of people are under the assumption now of, well, why did he come play for Buford this year? He moved all the way from his home to come play here in Georgia because he was going to go to Georgia. You have things happen, like things happen, and you can't
Well,
prevent that.
well,
Nobody expected. I promise you, if Georgia would have made it into the top four, went on to play for the national championship, Carson Beck would have been out 100% going into the league. 100%. Did he have a dominant year for SEC expectation? Absolutely. I mean, he wasn't really in the Heisman conversation, but this is good for him to come back because he will be in that Heisman conversation. So I think
what
this is
we
great.
hope,
This is great We hope.
we hope.
I, I mean, really, the real competition he's probably going to end up seeing.
It's not about the competition. It's about what he's losing.
Well, and you're right. He has
He's
lost a
losing
lot.
his safety blanket is gone, which is Brock Bowers. You know,
Yes.
so now because I saw how he played without Brock Bowers,
Hmm.
and he struggled. He
Yeah.
struggled without Brock Bowers. So now, because he doesn't have that escapability that Stetson
Hmm.
Bennett had, that's to me that's where they defer. You
Right.
know, um, but uh, the schedule is not in necessarily in Georgia's favor this next year either.
Oh,
It's
it's
tough.
looking
It's
it's
tough.
looking
So it's
it's
not so.
looking.
Like I said, this would have been the year for y'all to win that championship. As
Hmm.
far as being I don't want to say a cakewalk because all these teams have good players. Now,
Right.
do it translate on the field all the time? No.
No.
You know, I talk a lot of junk about Duke and Vandy and all that type of stuff. I know they have good players and things like that, but it doesn't always translate well because of the system sometimes.
Hmm.
Because at one point when Georgia had their team, they were struggling. The system that they had in place was not good. But when they got the system, with Todd Monken and all of these different coaches, it worked out. So um so we'll see how it goes. But I don't know if he can put up those same numbers against this schedule that he has
Hmm.
this upcoming year. I think that he will be, in that conversation. But he has
Yeah.
to do it against that competition because now you got a Texas team who I don't know how they're gonna come out because they got some players, coming back. They got,
Quinn Bow. I mean, not Quinn Bowers. Quinn Ewers is
if
returning.
he comes back, yeah. But that
I think he said he's coming back. I'm pretty confident. I think he's because
well, well,
because
we'll, we'll see.
Malik Murphy is transferring. So yeah, he did announce he's coming back.
Well, I mean, you say that, but also too, you gotta remember that Manning is on that team too, my brother.
Yeah, Archie is gonna be his backup. Yeah,
Now, right. So if Texas wins championship this year, I don't think Ewers is coming back.
very very possible. Very possible.
And now I'm not saying that they will win it, but I don't think he's coming back
I think
because
I'm really now. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think Ewers has a lot more he wants to prove in the college football world.
you
Now,
always go ahead.
granted, I don't know why. I feel like he's done a lot as far as putting Texas back in that conversation.
And that's why I said if he wins the championship, he'll leave because
Right.
that's the only thing he's missing, right? So he's got a
Agreed.
conference
Yes.
championship, he's got all of that. So um, but you got to think every player has more to prove.
Hmm.
Like every player. The only one that I can say that didn't have anything left to prove to me was Stetson Bennett. Why? Because won 2 championships back to back. You know, had the Cinderella story and all
Hmm.
of that type of stuff. But everybody, I feel like everybody has something to prove still
Yeah.
even when they declare for the draft. It's just a matter of do you have eligibility and where are you gonna fall in the draft. Like prime
Right.
example, had Georgia went to the championship and won, uh, Beck his stock would have rose. You know,
Hmm.
and this is the only year he's been playing. So his stock would have rose had you won and took him to a championship your first year.
Right.
Handled business against Alabama, played against the playoff teams and all of that. His
Hmm.
stock would have rose.
Yeah.
But now I think he's coming back because one is he only been playing a year. He didn't get that extra film for the playoffs and all that type of stuff. And now he gets another year to showcase his
Mhm.
talents. So for me, I feel like everybody always has something to prove. It's just a matter of what your draft stock looking like.
Yeah.
And now you got NIL deals, so if you're not going first round, you probably not going to declare for the draft
Hmm.
because you make more money NIL money wise than you would being a first round pick or a second round pick, especially.
Hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think Texas is in good hands either way though, because you got, I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see what Arch Manning can do. So
Yeah. I agree. I agree, and I think that a lot of people from not even Texas fans included, but a lot of people, just in the college football realm, are excited to see what Archie does. I mean, this guy was a highly committed guy. I mean, highly touted guy. Coming out of high school, and a lot of people were wondering where he would end up going. A lot of people wanted him to come to Georgia, but things don't. Things work out differently. So, um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm also looking forward to seeing one school in particular that I'm really truly skeptical about is how Oregon does, especially
Losing, losing Bo.
yeah, losing Bo.
They got Dylan Gabriel now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. A lot of people are gonna think I'm an Oregon fan, but I'm just looking to
Well, you
see it.
just call a spade a spade. I
Yeah,
mean, you know, it's
I'm really
exciting to look.
intrigued. I'm really intrigued to see how they do
Right. Like
because that is a
I'm
big
interested to
pickup.
see what Kentucky looks like with Vandergrift.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm interested to see how he, you know, carries a team. I definitely am.
Funny enough, okay, so we have some inside, right? We have some inside scoop. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, right? I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna put it out in the atmosphere, and I want to hear what you think about it, right?
Okay.
We're coming up within under our 10-minute mark as well. We're like at 50 minutes. DJ Uiagalelei to Florida State. What you think?
Why?
Why is a great question, but at the same time,
Because I'm asking because he couldn't get it done at Clemson. He couldn't get it done at Oregon State. Why now? What do we think is going to be
well,
the
he's in the
difference?
transfer portal again. I know you know that.
I know that.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
mean, I think that will be it.
That's why when I saw his name in the transfer
Yeah,
report, I'm like, why, bro? Why?
yeah. I agree.
Why? Because you
I agree, and I understand because I think he did particularly well at Oregon State. There's nothing bad about his performance at Oregon
my
State, but
point, but he okay. I say this. He did well,
Mhm.
well enough to put up decent numbers to
Right,
not be called bad,
yeah,
right? So he doesn't put up anything spectacular.
yeah,
Better numbers than Clemson, but not good enough numbers to be like having the pros calling like, "Hey, bro, we need you on our
hmm
right." So why transfer again? You know, now
agreed.
because from just from my opinion, from what I've seen in the past and now, after your second transfer, it usually doesn't work out that well for you.
Yeah, at that point,
Right?
I don't know. I feel like you're chasing something. If you having to transfer twice, there's something bigger that you're like trying to
To
go after.
me,
I
it's
don't
not
know if
even.
it's.
To me, it's
I
not
don't
you.
think it's stock. I don't think it's draft stock at that point. I think you're
No,
trying to
because
just
if it
get
was draft stock, then you know the first one would have been good. Like,
exactly.
and that's why I always say I think it should be limits on certain things because,
hmm
like, now, like, when do you sit there and look in the mirror and say, okay, I got to fix
Yeah,
myself.
it's
I got to
me.
get back in the lab,
It has to
right?
be me.
Just like with what's his name, JT Daniel that used to play
Mm.
for Georgia, transferred several times,
Don't
and
don't do
and
that.
that didn't.
Don't do that. Don't do
No,
that.
I'm just using it
Don't do that.
because for
Don't
somebody
do that.
that's transferred several times, see, I didn't even mention anything about what he did with certain people. I'm just saying it
But
didn't
yeah,
work
no,
out.
yeah, yeah.
It didn't work out for him. You know, after the second transfer, didn't
Mm,
work out. You know, most players that I see, whether it be a receiver or whatever, it doesn't work out after the second transfer.
mm,
After you transfer the first time, when you transfer again, it's like now it's like because you're losing your eligibility is running out. You know what I'm saying? So now I can understand if you weren't getting the looks. Like for instance, if you're a freshman, you're not getting the looks, you transfer once. You know, you and now you're getting more looks or whatever, this, that, and the third, and you know, you're still balling out, but it's not quite, you know, whatever it is, you transfer again. Okay. I get it, but at the same time I still don't agree with it, you know. But to me, when you're looking to transfer, in my opinion, I personally believe you should find a home that you want to finish your career out at.
mm.
Don't just transfer and say I'm gonna go here, whatever. And if it don't work out, I can always transfer again.
Right.
Like for one, you chose to come to the first school. You committed and chose there. So they were trying to get you to come there, right?
Mm,
Then you go transfer, which when you transfer, now you get to really go to a school that you might really want to go to or play for the coach you might really want to play for, right?
right.
So why not choose the best of that situation and make it work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, after you transfer that, after that first one, when you go to that third team, to me that's just a you problem.
Yeah.
Cause
And
I
that's
saw
yeah.
with Joey Gatewood from Auburn, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't see the field much, transferred, didn't see the field much, transferred, then say, okay, I guess I'd be a tight end. A tight end, at least I see the field. Now nobody nobody really knows his name,
Yeah.
right? So it's tricky, but
That funny
you have
enough,
to really, go ahead.
that's funny you say that because that also gets me thinking back to your boy from Last Chance U, John Franklin the third.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, and to me, that, like, Franklin, you show me,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're fast, that does not mean that you're a great football player at whatever position that you're trying to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. Everybody wants to be a quarterback and all of that. But at some point, if you're not getting the looks on the depth chart, you've transferred, you've done all of this, you got to either get in the lab, get in the film room, figure it out, and work it and make yourself a starter. Be so
Mm-hmm.
good that they ain't got no choice but to start you or change your position.
Yep.
I'm gonna give you a prime example. Everybody told Lamar Jackson he should change the receiver and all of that. Lamar said, "No, I'm a quarterback, right?" And what did he do? He got in the lab. He watched
Mm-hmm.
film. He got better at his craft.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And he stayed the course. He didn't complain. You know what I'm saying? He did what he's supposed to do. He went to one school, went to the league, MVP. Now he's on pace to, go to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Like, you know, so when does it come to a point to where you look in the mirror and say, if I want to do this for the rest of my life, or, at least for, some more years,
Mm-hmm.
I need to get back in the lab and fix this.
Yeah.
First time transfer, and I get it. You're not getting playing time. You don't like your situation. Okay, cool. Get up out of there. Find you something better.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, come on, man. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
You know,
Agree. I agree. Yeah. That's
because
pretty.
you go
That's
into it,
pretty. Yeah. Valid.
you get into a slippery slope when you do that thing for that. Go to that third school, because now you're
I
leaving a
mean,
lot more to chance.
the pro. I feel like the pro scouts look at that as well. Like
Right,
they're gonna see how many times. Like okay, and also they're gonna ask these coaches who you played for. Why is this the reason why this man keeps transferring? What happened here,
right,
or what could have potentially led to him transferring? Because
right,
it, you, I mean, you can only get a waiver, what is the hardship waiver for X amount of things or issues that
right,
you have,
right.
but. I feel like before that time and area before the transfer portal came out, you had to get that hardship transfer
Yeah,
waiver.
when it's before, it used to be, if you transferred, you had to sit out.
Right.
You know, which to me was good, because now you have to really make a conscious decision of,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to transfer, I have to understand it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you realize, like, okay, if I'm going to have to sit out a year, I might as well stay here, sit out a
Right.
year, and ball out, whatever. Because I think people forget that when you're on the bench for that 1 year or that first year, you can do so much. Like, you can learn from
Mm-hmm.
the vets. You can memorize your playbook. You can, better your craft. Like, if you're a quarterback, okay, all right, I ain't reading this defense right. Okay, let me get in the lab and watch this. Or
Yeah.
my arm strength is not as strong. Let me get in the lab and work on my arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
Pocket presence has not been as strong. Let me get in here and work on stepping up in the pocket and, buying time. And let me get with the vets and see what I can do. You can do so much, but again, in order for that to happen, you have to really love this game we call football.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what's gonna feed your families if this is the route you're going. This is what's
Exactly.
gonna get your mom and them out the hood. This is what's gonna make a better life for you.
Mm-hmm.
If this is what you're trying to do, this is the gateway for you to make millions of dollars
Yeah.
and now more than ever at a faster rate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? From high
Exactly.
school to college to NFL, you could be a millionaire from the end of your high school career to all of your college career to the pros.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if this is your craft, why are you not working on it? So DJ Oogie, whichever however you say it now, I always mess it up. You know what I'm saying? I always mess it up. But what are you doing, my brother? Like, I'm
Mhm.
not trying to. I'm not saying like I ain't. I would call you out if you trash, and I don't think he's trash.
No,
You
no, he's
know.
not. Yeah,
Now I can name you some quarterbacks in college football that's trash, but
this
I'm
is
not gonna
not
do
this is
that
not
because
the
this is not the
platform for that.
podcast for that. But I want all the smoke, respectfully.
Yeah.
You know. But and I can run you down the numbers because I this is what I do. But I don't think DJ Ugungla is trash. I just think that he got some stuff to work on. We
Mhm.
saw it at Clemson. We saw it last year. So my opinion is, you just gotta be careful when you're doing that transfer portal,
Yeah,
man.
for sure. And real quick, I totally forgot about this, and I'm glad I remembered. We had some basketball stuff that we wanted to get into, but I truly forgot while I was in New York. The Heisman happened, and of course, Michael Penix didn't win, and Jay Daniels did. And earlier on in the season, and you can go back and find it. I forgot what episode it was, but I doubled down on Michael Penix winning the Heisman. He didn't
Right,
win, unfortunate. But Jaden Daniels is so deserving of that Heisman win, bro. Like
right,
I couldn't have
right.
been more happier than for Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman.
Yeah,
So, how do you feel about that?
and I don't think you're wrong. That
Yeah.
I agree that he should. To me, he should have won the Heisman.
Hmm.
But like meaning Jaden Daniels respectfully earned it and deserved it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're wrong either, because I
Hmm.
think that Michael Penix could have won it too. And I
Yeah.
think everybody that was in that room that night that was on that ballot, the last one standing deserved to be on it
Hmm.
because, and I think Jaden Daniels showed a lot this year, a
Hmm.
lot of growth, and I think Michael Penix didn't get it for the simple fact that Jaden Daniels hit it on more than one level. I mean,
Yeah.
Penix is known for his passing yards exceptional,
Hmm.
right? And he's great, and that's good, you know. But Jaden Daniels hit it on the second gear with the passing and the
Yeah.
running,
Oh man,
and he did
it
it
was
on
it was beautiful.
and he did it on against SEC opponents at that, you know.
Hmm.
So and let's be honest, I mean, in that Bama game, he was giving Bama fits. Like had he not went down, I think they might have been
Yeah.
able to finish a little stronger. But
Hmm.
you know, Bama capitalized. I mean, you gotta. I mean that's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? But I personally think that they got it right. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people may disagree
100%.
with me, but I mean, check the tape. Check the
Yeah.
tape. I mean, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Michael Penix, he balled out. He balled out, and I
Hmm.
can't give. It's one of them things like you good either way. You
Hmm.
good either way.
100%. And I think the thing that really impressed me the most is just the things that he overcame. I mean, when he announced that he was transferring, his teammates at Arizona State dogged him out in the worst way possible. I mean, they literally touched this man's personal property, throwing it out of his locker and calling him trash. And for him to go to LSU and turn up the way he did, oh man, I was a fan. I was a fan from the jump. I mean,
Yeah,
you have to respect it. You have to
yeah.
respect
I
it.
mean,
So
whenever you leave somewhere, you gonna get backlash. Like, we
100%,
this is what we
100%.
especially when what I'm saying? People hurt. Hurt people
Hmm.
hurt people. So that's how
Yeah,
that goes. But what you
yeah.
do, I mean, he went to a situation where he felt like he was gonna be all right, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And he balled out. And like,
Yeah.
they started off a little slow that first year, and then he just blossomed into something bigger as the year went on.
I saw
Like
promise from the SEC championship.
that, but
I
that's
saw
what I'm
promise.
saying. But
Yeah,
I saw promise when they beat Bama.
yeah, yeah.
When they beat Bama, and he called his own number
Hmm.
at the end.
Yep.
And as from then on, I said this guy gonna be special. And I ain't
Yeah,
gonna lie, I was hoping he declared because I knew we had to see him.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and he came back, and I mean he balled out, man.
Hmm.
I honestly can say I enjoyed watching him play.
Oh
Him
yeah.
bringing his team back. Running. What I'm saying he making all the right reads, all the right decisions, and
Yep.
taking off. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the yardage he racked up on the ground, was
Insane.
tremendous, as well as through the air.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no he could have easily folded after that Florida State loss, but
Mhm.
He didn't.
Yeah.
And it was no fault of his own that you know, they came up short this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's but again, like there's a lot of pieces that go into this winning thing. You know, it's not just the quarterback. It's not
Yeah.
just the running back. It's not just quarterback's a big piece. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong, but you know,
Yeah.
I think he was well deserving of everything he got.
Agreed. And I mean,
And Michael Penix might get the one that he really want. He might not have won the Heisman, but he got a chance to compete with
he
that
still has
daddy.
a chance. Yeah, he still has a chance to get
So
the
I mean,
big
I
one.
think he would be more excited about that. I know I would be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would
Yeah.
definitely be more excited about winning the natty.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Two great talents who are definitely gonna be talked about for a long time in the college football world. I mean, just two exceptional guys who led their programs to great heights that were
ooh, would
pretty
this
much
be the first
unimaginable.
time a Heisman candidate like in a long time a Heisman candidate hasn't been in the playoff picture or hasn't been in the championship?
That's a good question.
Because I
I don't.
know
Last year, who was it? Last year, it was. I don't know. I got to do some research on that. You stopped me
because
with that one. I wasn't.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, who, everybody that I can remember,
Yeah,
because who won last year? No, because who was in the playoff last? Who won
it
last year?
was It was Georgia, but who won it last year? It was dang. It was Bryce. It was Bryce. Bryce
Bryce
won
Young.
last year,
He didn't win the championship, so
but he
no.
didn't win the championship. So yeah,
Right. So yeah.
yeah.
So that
Wow.
hasn't okay. Because before that, I'm about to say because you got Joe Burrow who won the
Mm-hmm.
championship, Devontae Smith won the championship.
Yeah. So yeah, it
Well, yeah,
hasn't.
because
That's
it
crazy.
might have been okay. All right, I was just wondering that because I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, crazy, 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 crazy. Well, I think that's a good place to go ahead and close this episode on out. Again, I told y'all we were gonna have a great episode for y'all. We didn't really get a chance to hit on some basketball today, but again, we had a lot to cover because we missed a week. So this has been another phenomenal installment of the College Couch Podcast. As always, Javaris Harris, Stackz Delbridge with me. Thank y'all. As always, thank y'all for y'all support and love and feedback. We cannot thank you enough for it. It is always great for us to get that feedback to better the podcast and to better the look and feel of this thing because we want to be as organic as possible. We're not trying to be anybody else. We want to be ourselves. So I think that's what really sets us apart in this platform. So thank y'all. Please have a happy and safe holidays. We definitely want to try to have a podcast before the year ends out. And also, we still have something planned for you guys coming up. We're not ready to release details just yet, but we definitely have something in store for you guys coming up in the near future. Stackz, you know what time it is, brother.
Yo,
Take us off.
man, what's going on? Hey, I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. Tell a friend, tell their cousin, tell their auntie, and tell their grandma and them. To check us out, man. College Cop, you know what I'm saying? Podcast of the year, all that. We talk about all the sports. You got somebody you want us to talk about, you got a situation, you got whatever it is you want us to talk about, college sports and stuff like that, let us know. If you got any rebuttals to my comments this time around, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm here for all the smoke.
DM him. Do not
Hey,
come at me
hey,
trying to
man.
find him. You
No,
DM him personally.
DM college college pod. It's college
No,
pod page.
you DM MJ
Now
Stackz.
you can hit me up too. I mean, I'm
His
fine with
his
all
his
of it, man. Look,
username is in the bio.
hey,
You
hey,
find him.
hey, hey, hey. You know what I'm saying? I can take it as well as I can dish it. You know what I'm saying? You got a rebuttal, you feel differently about it. Let's talk about it, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't bite. Hey, we can have a friendly conversation. You know what I'm saying? I can back up mine with stats, whatever. But anyway, we got bills to pay, man. We're gonna get up out of here. Y'all have a safe and happy holiday. Merry Christmas from College Couch.
Grimmer.
Uh, wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, I